Right here with comics here next to the comics, transgender hate mail, homosexual hate mail, atheist hate mail, basically the reaction to a bunch of screen caps on YouTube and DeviantArt that are response comments. I made against these deviant lifestyles and a few other things. Trigger warning: if you don't like what I'm saying, go ahead, click off the video, and go watch something else. Do not lie and say there's hate speech on my videos, because there is a hate speech on videos. It's speech you hate. That's a different story. To continue on, people giving these wrong these comment sections, and be trying to share around with versus the basic biology, and they need to talk about that. Also, it's good to get vaccinated so you can fight against the spread of germs. Be vaccinated for the flu, that'll help you fight against the flu. Be vaccinated for COVID, that'll help you fight against COVID. So that's good. It's very important to do that. Vaccines actually helped make different diseases that were once dangerous less dangerous. So yeah, smallpox, mumps, different flus, different things like that. Have become less dangerous than they used to be. So it's really cool. So yeah, they're really good at poking you now because they have lots of practice at doing it. So yeah, most of the time it works out very nicely. So let's continue on here. Where's the hate mail? Oh yeah, there it is. Let's go. Bad episode comments, part 1. Someone says, "Did you watch Arthur going up?" And then I say, "Oh, Lance, you had a fun Arthur episode and you ruined it." Old school crying scenes of tears emoji. Capital T period capital T. And yeah, well, that's true. Arthur had an episode where it was Lance Armstrong was the guest, and he was talking about not giving up to Francine and Arthur and everybody, and then later you find out that Lance was doing steroids, so yeah, he was cheating. He lost all his awards, and they had to redo the episode with some made-up character, in there instead of Lance. So that was really sad. That episode was a banned episode because of Lance. What Lance did in there. Someone says, "I thought Biggie was going to start doing performance enhancing drugs." School. I thumbs up. Like someone says, "I think it should Lance Armstrong. I knew exactly why it was banned." Someone else. Thumbs up. Like someone says, "Roses are red, the walls made of plaster. The children are fast, but Arthur is faster." So good. Next. About every transgender hate mail part 1. So it says, "Here goes. Ever heard of neuroscience? Bad neuroscience? It's specifically about the brain. Wrongly. The brain develops, sometimes the brain gets different hormones as the body, which makes no sense because it's all the same brain body chemistry there. According to a different gender in the brain as the sex of the body. Bullcrap. Bullcrap. So he made a male brain and used to have a female body. Nope. So he has a male brain and used to have a female body. No, she still has a female body. Sorry. The body made her uncomfortable, so she changed it. By lying about it and getting mutilated and poisoned. It's still female. Sorry. Hope you learn more about other people in the future. And I say, yes, the science does not excuse the lies involved in the transgender lifestyle. Who cares if her brain looks male or female? Her brain looks male and female, her body is female, and she should be using female, she, her pronouns. Not using those is lying, and that is wrong. Yep. There's one person that looks like a dude. She's born with ovaries. She's a girl. One of these two dudes that look like girls with more testicles. They're both dudes. Still have. I've seen these people. So it's Batman Arkham City comments part 1. Now I say, after all these years, this game still looks good. I miss this Rocksteady smiling while tear was in the eye emoji. And someone says, "This is the first video I ever saw on Ghost Robo's channel." Thumbs up. Hands down, the best Arkham game ever made. Because a few people hate on the Batmobile in Arkham Knight. That's true. So yeah, hands down. There was no Batmobile in Arkham City. It was just, you grappling hooked, and then you glided. And then sometimes you would do the line launcher, most likely inside of buildings, but yeah, things like that. But yeah, you most likely grappling hooks. When you're in a big city, you grappling hooked up to the highest point you could, and then glide your way around, and then grab the hook again. And that was so cool. And I prefer that type of thing. But the Batmobile has its place, but yeah, it was just so much Batmobile, so much. It was really crazy. And then someone's like, "This is the video that brought me to Ghost Robo's channel. First thing I ever watched from Ghost Robo. Who's watching this in 2016? Make Gotham great again. Hashtag make Gotham great again." I'm like, wow. So we got some time. Let's go. Batman Arkham Co-op gameplay show comments. Oh, this was cool. What's this? I said, "This is so cool. More Arkham games are a good thing." Someone actually modded things. Batman Arkham Co-op gameplay show. Okay. Someone modded the Batman Arkham series, okay, in a way, game, their version of it, in a way, or copy of it, so they could have 2 like Robins or Nightwings involved. Okay, so basically you have two Nightwings running around together, beating the heck out of all the criminals, in different places, and it's super cool. And then I think one time, someone was trying to take down a criminal. Okay, basically stealth take down a criminal, and the other guy was able to use his grappling hook to pull the criminal out of that guy's grip, and into his hand, and into his arm, so he could take him down himself. I'm just like, oh my gosh, there could be some serious co-op here. They just stole that guy. There's so many ways they could do this. It would be great. I didn't know you could do that. Let's go. So they really need to work on that. So free flow combat now would be awesome. Nowadays, in games nowadays, would be amazing. So yeah, when someone says awesome, so this is awesome. They should make what Arkham game style with both Batman and Robin. That'd be nice. It's such a cool, awesome idea. I should have thumbs up that one. Awesome. Should have called Arkham Allies though. Man, that Central will say fire. Nice video. This is sick. Gonna be good sick. Yeah. Batman Arkham creepy shadow comments. And I said that was amazing. But if anything tries to mess with me and I'm Batman, I will punch it. So it's that music went hard. Well, yesterday I played another Batman game, but literally got nightmares from it. That's terrible. So it's the Batman Arkham Knight comments part 1. So it's the alternate title, Boss Fires His Employees, pun intended. Oof. Thumbs up. I wonder where I'd be now if Arkham Knight hadn't found me. In the land of the living, that's where. Thumbs up. Militia, it's the freaking, hold up, boss, what are you doing here? Like, Arkham Knight, you're fired. You can mod it. Basically, there's mods you can have in the Batman Arkham series, where you can mod in any character, a lot of different characters, including the Arkham Knight. Basically, plays like Robin, or Nightwing, or was it Deathstroke, or whatever. But still, he's a young dude who's pretty agile, uses a staff, I think, maybe, whatever. Anyway, he definitely can. You can have him beat up his own militia members, so it's kind of crazy stuff because of the mods. Yeah, let's see here. You're supposed to fire them, not fire at them. I think you misunderstood your orders. So it's just another ordinary training with new recruits. None of them passed. He kills them all. Also, they said, no, by the way, you're all fired. So Batman Arkham Knight Steam chart. Yeah. Lots of positive stuff. 85%, 66% positive. 2,697 in game. Oh my gosh. Wow. All that peaked 9 years ago, 27,406. Here's the issue. This is a single player offline game. So yeah. It's not the same as a live service game. A live service game, you want a bunch of people in. Hundreds of thousands of people. A single player online game, if it doesn't get that many people, that's still, what is that, 27,000 people? Say 27,000 people played $70 for that game. That's a lot of money still. But then live service games, just a free to play one, they have to go buy microtransactions, which can give you money. But if they're like, nope, don't care about microtransactions, and just played your game a little bit and then left, that's rough. Let's see here. Yeah, continue on. And then Arkham Shadow hate mail. Do you have time? That's fine. What you got? That's me. My cat with me. Yeah. And I said, wow, if only it wasn't VR. Now make a game that isn't. Someone's like, And I'm like, yeah, what's the problem? Why not make more Batman Arkham games that aren't VR? That's the issue with me. So this game was conceived as a VR game, but only exists as a VR game. Bad criticism. Realize. I say they could have made it a third-person game and put it on more systems. Well, this is better than Suicide Squad because Justice League. Batman Star comments, part 1. I said, OMG, sometimes AI gets it right. Capital T, period, capital T. Here's a stream emoji. Or RIP Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer, smiley. Someone's like, Val Kilmer, tears a stream emoji. Broken heart. Crying, tear in the eye, frowning emoji. I look at the Batman hero, Bat, Star. Nicole looking good. This movie never gets credit it truly deserves. I know this film and saw it numerous times. Good times. Actors' life and death. Now, what these things are is Batman Star comments. This is one of the coolest things ever. With AI, a person can show off how they looked in the star looked in the movie they were in when they were young, and have a version of them hanging out next to them. That's like their, the version of them that exists today. If they have died, then it's an angel. So they're in a white robe that have angel wings. So yeah, it's definitely kind of bittersweet, but it's awesome to see it. New characters and everything. They did a Star Trek one too, so I was like, Okay, now you have Batman transports with a Flash picture from Suicide Squad to Justice League. The moment I thought that basically they would actually harken back to, if they were smart, they would harken back to this moment. Because they said, we're ready for Phase. He has beaten up the Suicide Squad, taken them all down like he does in the Arkham games. He beat up Flash, because Flash tried to stop him from killing Harley, so he's like, we're ready for Phase. And then you see Batman and Flash teleport away. Now, here's the issue. The Skull Ship, I might go a little overboard, over the time limit, but here's the deal. The Skull Ship, or bringing out Skull Ship, okay, in this game, has been shown to be able to transport entire buildings, away, or things about the size of an entire building. Like a gun, you can transport a gun, one of the spider guns with the purple blobs in them, they had to shoot. You can transport one of these stories tall things. Basically, you transport that in there, transport hordes of troops in different places. So I was thinking to myself, okay, all this stuff that happened after this was fake, and basically, yeah, if they're smart, all that stuff was fake. They were never taken out. They were basically all knocked out in 5 seconds, taken to the Skull Ship as bait. To help them figure out where the Skull Ship is, how to get in, maybe even have there's stuff inside of their bodies that the devices inside their bodies, like bombs, can also be just help to mess up the Skull Ship, so they can basically stop it. They were bait. That's why they're so weak. That's why they were no match to the Suicide Squad, Justice League and stuff. And I was like, man, this would be so cool if that was the case. It wasn't. No, it was not. They really killed Justice League characters. But those Justice League characters were clones, crappy clones of the real Justice League who were captured because they were crappy too. They were idiots themselves. And I'm like, I had made a comic about it where that happened, where it was the opposite, where this was basically the turning point, and they basically were brainwashed. It was a what if scenario, and it's like, there was no Jonkler, there was no Mrs. Freeze, there was no Kimberly Lawless, and there was no Deathstroke, Old Man Deathstroke. There was none of them. It was just the original 4. They were clones with Kryptonian DNA in them to make them stronger, so they could more likely survive being beat up by everybody in the Justice League. And they were used as bait, and they were able to use them to get the Skull Ship under their control, Argus control, or at least enough so they can get in there and cause problems for it. And they got new team members. They're just, in my opinion, I like the team members better. The ones I made up better. And there was like Bling Shot, I called her. She was basically like a proto version of a Green Lantern, Yellow Lantern ring, user, but it was like mechanical, so it was like definitely a much bigger, heavier thing going on. She had like a gauntlet, but she definitely shot Yellow Ring energy out, because if Batman was able to do it, they could like reverse engineer what Batman did, make Yellow Lantern Ring energy. It might not be as good, but if she could do it, that'd be dangerous for Green Lantern. So it's like, I'll bet someone better to fight Green Lantern with. King Shark got Sally Sharktopus, which was like kind of a King Shark, half human, part shark, part octopus, part electric eel, just thing, creature commando monster thing. It was crazy. I liked her. You had Captain Shuriken or something. Captain Boomerang. So he's like Boomerang but more precise, and doesn't use guns at all. He's a ninja. And then you had Mary Doll as with Asian with ninja weapons and stuff. So China Doll. It was crazy stuff. So it was a lot of things going on there that I enjoyed messing around with. That would have been better than what they had here in the game, but that's what they did. Decided to have that in there. So I'm over the time limit. See you guys next time. Check me out on YouTube TV and art.